So it would appear that the trans community are proper pissed off with the Supreme Court ruling, where it ruled that women who are biologically women will be the only ones classed as biological women.
What is going to happen to the transgenders and those who are men transforming to women and women transforming to men rather? What's going to be their situation? What's going to be their story? Well, in this video you guys are going to be hearing all that and more, because the UK court has ruled that women are considered women only when they are biological women. This has sparked a conversation. A lot of people are saying that the transgender, women and, those that are in this cycle, that they don't feel safe anymore, especially with the fact that they said that if you are biologically a man and you transgendered into a woman, a male officer is going to check you, going to be the one that will search you because you are biologically a man. Now the conversation is still ongoing, and people are not knowing what to think. Some people are in panic. Some are wondering, okay, the restrooms, are we going to be allowed to share restrooms with biological women, or what's going to be our fate? You guys, in this video I have brought people who have come out to share their thoughts and expatiate more on the ongoing situation. Let's go listen to them and I will be back.
So I just read that the British Transport Police have said that they are now going to be allowing male police officers to strip search trans women. And my question to biological cis women who think that this ruling is a good thing for women is, what do you think stands in between you and a male police officer accusing you of being trans just so he can legally pull your knickers off in a police station? Do you know what I'm getting at? Because if you need to pull out a birth certificate to prove that you are a biological cis woman, you are living in a fascist country. If you have to go about your day-to-day life with your birth certificate in your bag to prove that you have a vagina between your legs, then you are living in a fascist country, okay? Because these male police officers now can accuse you of being a trans woman so they can pull off your knickers, and they will be legally protected by doing so. Because they can just say, well, I thought she was trans. Do you understand now? Because I think some of you are not quite understanding how it might work against you. This is not a win for women. If you think that the police force are there to protect you as a biological cis woman, I want you to think of Sarah Everard.
I've never felt unsafe around a trans woman, ever. My womanhood has never felt threatened by a trans woman, ever. And if your womanhood has, I think that speaks more to the fragility of your womanhood than anything about trans women. Because quite honestly, how pathetic to target one of the most oppressed groups in our society. Honestly, loser behavior. And for all those people who say they care about women's sports and women's safety, where are you petitioning for more funding for women's sports? Where are you petitioning for better legislation to persecute sexual assault against women? Overwhelming majority of which is committed by cis men. You don't care about women. You just want to target those that are already oppressed. Loser behavior.
UK Supreme Court decided today that trans women can't be defined as women, and that is a violent and horrendous decision to make. Beyond the fact that trans women are women, and beyond the fact that trans women being defined as women doesn't do anything to hurt anybody, it's a dangerous precedent, because when you are doing that much to codify somebody not being something, it's because you have plans to do something even more violent to that group. You're doing everything that you can to strip away the humanity so that your what next falls in line. It's even more important to understand how dangerous that is, because the person that we have in office right now is going to love that, if not being a part of it, right? We know how at risk our trans siblings are. And this message is really nothing more than the reminder and the strong encouragement that trans people are people, trans women are women, trans men are men, no question about it, and nothing about that does anything to harm anybody else. If you've been quiet with your support for trans people, it's time to get loud. If you've been loud with your support of trans people, it's time to get louder. They need us. They need us. And once again, we are all that we have.
I don't care too much about being recognised as a woman because I just don't want to be recognised at all. I just want to be left alone, and I think that's what we all want after this war against our tiny community where we are less than 1% of the population, and it's been a constant onslaught against us, and we just want to be left alone. I think it's going to affect a lot more people than just trans people's lives, and that's actually what I'm looking forward to, because I think when people realise that it's going to be butch lesbians being asked why they're in women's bathrooms, because that's already happening. I have many friends who have been stopped in bathrooms who are just cisgender, born women, lesbians. Women, there was a viral post recently going around about a woman who's going through chemo who was affronted in a bathroom and asked why she was in there, and they assumed she was trans because she was bald. We see women from different cultures who are built differently to like the kind of Western ideal of femininity being constantly policed over their gender. We see it in the Olympics. Every time there's Olympics, there's a female athlete who is policed over, are they really a woman? These are it's going to hurt lesbians, it's going to hurt women going through things like chemo, it's going to hurt women from different cultures, it's going to hurt a lot more than trans people. And if anything, I look forward to that, because then we can all rally together and prove that this was just absolute nonsense and it's not protecting anyone.
So by now you should know that JK Rowling is the one that donated over 70,000 Great British pounds to have trans rights completely stripped away within the UK. So if it's not clear by now that the Supreme Court ruling was by design and actually backed by transphobic actors, it should be now. And this is exactly why people cannot take JK Rowling fans seriously, because you guys will be the first to throw the stone, but then be so quick to hide your hand. You cannot separate art from the artist when the artist is actually doing everything in their power to actualize legislation that actively harms a marginalized community. And everybody with more than 3 brain cells knows that whether you're supporting JK Rowling or you're JK Rowling yourself, what you're doing is not protecting women whatsoever. You can throw away that facade in the bin because no one's believing it. Because when it's the tens upon thousands upon millions of women getting harassed and assaulted every single day by biological men, I hear crickets. But let the subject somehow be about trans women, and then all of a sudden you guys come out from the woodworks. It's performative and you need to stop it. If you continue to buy from JK Rowling, you are supporting passively what she believes in.
The United Kingdom Supreme Court just announced that they will no longer recognize transgender women as real women.
The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex.
Now, the UK is actually following the United States in not recognizing transgender women as women or transgender men as men. The UK's decision is that women can only be called women if they are biologically born at birth a woman. And this has women all over the UK cheering. You saw parades today of people storming the streets celebrating this. Now, what does this actually mean? One, it will not recognize transgender women as women. And also, you will no longer allow to be going into a restroom that does not match your sex and your gender at birth. Meaning men that want to be women cannot go into the women's restroom, and women that want to be men cannot go into the men's restroom. And they are also going to ban transgender people from competing in sports that do not match with the gender they got at birth. Was this a good decision for the UK to make, or should they recognize transgender women as real women?
Trans women are now not legally recognised as a woman. I'm a trans woman and I want to talk about it, if that's okay. This new law isn't going to protect or help anyone. People can now stop and say to you, you don't look like a woman to me. Are you a biological man? Women are going to have that. I'm sick of being blamed for men's behaviour time and time again. A man doesn't have to put on a dress and a wig to go into a woman's space and do something bad. They can do it anyway. If you don't know what goes into transition, it's not just a switch that we flip. I had to be legally diagnosed with gender dysphoria. I had to go through a psychological evaluation. I have had 8 surgeries. I had to prove myself time and time again to get my gender recognition certificate, which I got earlier on this year. To now be told that I'm not legally recognised as a woman. I get married this summer. Sorry to make it about me, but I get married this summer. And I don't know if that means I'm getting legally married as a man or a woman, which really sucks. Also, something else I want to point out, they want us to use the toilets that aligns with our biological sex. So trans men, women who transition to men, look very much like men. Beards, you would never know. So that means they should then use the women's toilet, which means men can just walk in and say, I'm a trans man, I was born a woman, I should have been here. It's not making anyone safer. And that's the most frustrating thing. It's going to put more women and girls in danger. It's going to put trans people in danger. This is not the end. It's just the start of what they're trying to do. It is discrimination. I understand some of the trans community haven't helped the situation. Fuel has been added to the fire by them. If you take anything away from this video, it's that this isn't benefiting women. It's not making women safer or girls safer. It's going to make them more prone to judgment and criticism from strangers, because if you don't look like what someone thinks a woman should be, you're going to get challenged on that. That's what this ultimately means for women. I'm lucky that I can go out into the world undetected. Not all trans women have the finances and opportunity to make that a possibility, and some genetics don't make that a possibility. I'm lucky and I understand that, but not all trans women are. Hi. A fire has been lit in me by this blatant discrimination against trans women. This really sucks. Bye.
I'm seeing a lot of this about the recent UK Supreme Court ruling, and I just want to add to it, because this is not strictly true. And this isn't hate on the creator, love her, but I just want to make sure we have our ducks in a row so that it doesn't enable more abuse from the legal system. Specifically and very simply, what they found was that specifically in the Equality Act of 2010, woman was to be interpreted just biologically. But it is very important, both socially, right, and legally, that we remember in other legal contexts, right, specifically gender-separated governmental buildings, gender recognition certifications still have effect and should be interpreted as such. For example, duties under the HRA, the Human Rights Act, still may require the UK government in their facilities to recognize trans people's right to exist in gender-segregated spaces. What this does is it removes the Equality Act recognitions. Two different things, right? One act is not the whole law. And trust me, I know it sounds pedantic, but this does matter for two main reasons. First of all, social. When we just accept that the Supreme Court has laid down the precedent now for the whole law, we gain an expectation that the rest of the law is going to be interpreted that way, and that just puts fuel in the fire of transphobes. We don't have to do that, because that's not what they did, and so at every single point we should fight tooth and nail for them to interpret the ruling as such. And number two builds on that. Legally, we should still interpret this, and the correct way to interpret this is that it is narrowly confined just to the Equality Act. Because the Equality Act was not passed in the context of the ECHR, the Human Rights Act, where there is binding authority on the validity of trans people. And I know, it sounds like legal mumbo jumbo, but very simply, number one, we should fight tooth and nail socially to say, no, that was a very specific, fact-specific ruling. And legally, we should fight, no, that was just the Equality Act. Every other legal recognition of trans people is still valid and good. And we shouldn't preemptively concede the whole argument, because if we do that, right, we feel like shit. And you have every right to feel like shit. This was a horrible ruling. But it's not helpful to feel like shit, really, right? So we have to go through a lot of these negative emotions, which they don't have to. They get to go through even more emotions because they think they've won more than they have. And then we lose context with which to fight further bad rulings. Right? Okay. Just wanted to correct that.
So it would appear that the trans community are proper pissed off with the Supreme Court ruling, where it ruled that women who are biologically women will be the only ones classed as biological women. Now, I absolutely feel really strongly about this topic because for me, as a biological woman, I feel that there are many differences between men and women. Very, very two different ways of men are stronger. That is genetically proven that men are far more stronger than actual women. So I don't believe at all that anyone should be discriminated against, because absolutely not. I also understand that sometimes people are born in what they feel as a different body. And I also understand that. But I do feel that this ruling is 100% fair. No one is stopping anyone from being what they want to be. But the reality is, women who are biological women will have periods. Women that don't and are not will not. Those are the facts. That is as simple as it gets. I know that this isn't the thing that they, the trans community have wanted to hear, but we have to be realistic in this situation. Ultimately, we can't change biology. That is not an option in this world that we live in. I do feel that we do need to be respectful of our feelings and opinions and views and what we choose to be when we choose to want to be it. Like, I have no problem, and I have friends who are trans, I really do. But ultimately, we should respect that me as a biological woman will respect how you want to be, and people who are not need to respect how I am and what I believe and how the rest of us feel. It shouldn't be up for debate.
If you are a woman in the UK and you are in custody of the transport police, you will be strip searched by a man. This policy was put in place to systematically oppress trans women, but it will also oppress cisgendered women as well. There is absolutely nothing stopping a male member of the custody police to just say that you are a trans woman for the sole excuse of strip searching you. This is happening because the UK Supreme Court just ruled that your sex assigned at birth determines your gender, and in this case, if you are assigned female at birth, you are a woman, otherwise you are not. It completely blows my mind that Western countries hate trans people, and trans women specifically, more than homelessness, hunger, climate change, or fucking fascism. In the UK, 300,000 people were reported to be homeless in 2023. In 2023, 11% of the UK was experiencing food poverty. History is not going to look back on you fondly. My heart goes out to all the girlies in the UK. You don't deserve this. Nobody does.
So the UK Supreme Court ruled that trans women aren't women for whatever reason. Is there like a law reason why the UK is like Turf Island? It is the only nation more obsessed with trans women than the United States. It's also like really funny that like UK TERFs talk about, oh, they're men and they don't even look like women. I'm like, you're UK women. You don't look like women. Try, like, Ethel Kane and Hunter Schafer pass more than y'all. Like, shut the fuck up.
It wasn't a trans person who held my friend down in her room at university and raped her. And it wasn't a trans person who cornered me as I came out of the loo at work drinks and like physically held me in the pace until I fought him off. And it wasn't a trans person who domestically abused my friend for years and years. That was all cisgender men. And the UK Supreme Court ruling yesterday hurts all women, cisgender women and transgender women. There will be cisgender women who are trying to mind their own business and go to the loo in peace, who are accosted by people who think that they're trans because, I don't know, they're tall or they have short hair, or maybe they've had to have a mastectomy and haven't got any boobs, or they're dressed in a way that they don't think is feminine enough. This ruling hurts everybody. And for me, it's just another reminder that the system will do literally anything other than address the root cause of the problem, which is the fucking patriarchy and misogyny. It's also a reminder that progress isn't linear and that we can lose our rights just as easily as we gain them. It's a sad fucking day.
To see people celebrating a minority group having their rights taken away is disgusting, and sickening isn't even the right word to cover how I feel about it. Celebrating pretty much anyone having their rights taken away, let alone a group of people that have been marginalized, oppressed, treated like crap, treated like second-class citizens throughout history, is truly disgusting. There are no words to convey how I'm feeling. Anyone calling themselves a feminist, yet celebrating this, just know you are not a feminist. Feminism is about equal rights for everybody. Everybody. cis people, trans people, non-binary people, people of colour, people with disabilities, gay people, straight people, anything else in between. To anyone acting like this is about women's rights and women's safety, no, it is not. No, it is not. Do you know who I have never been hurt by, felt threatened by, ever in my life? Trans women, that's who. Do you know who I have been consistently abused by, essayed by, made to feel unsafe by, threatened by? Men. Don't you find it so strange that there is only a legal definition of what a woman is, not what a man is, just a woman? We are taking drastic steps back as a society, and it is terrifying to watch. Transgender people have always existed. They will continue to always exist, regardless of what a piece of paper, a piece of legislation says. Trans women are still women today, just as they were yesterday, just as they were 100 years ago, and just as they will be 100 years from now. This is not about protecting women. There are so many laws that could have been in place that could actually protect women, so many laws that need to be put in place to protect women that don't exist and nobody cares about. This is about controlling women. This is about oppressing women. I literally have goosebumps even talking about this because it is just so terrifying to me that this is the direction that we're going in as a society, and the fact that so many people seem to be celebrating an injustice. As a woman, as a feminist, as a lesbian, I love women. I care about women. I love and care about women on every level that you possibly can. Women have always been under the thumb of the patriarchy. And for any woman to be siding with the patriarchy right now, over siding with their fellow women, that's repulsive to me. You are repulsive to me. To any transgender people, specifically women watching this, the law cannot define who you are. Only you can do that. And I'm sure you already know that, but this is just a reminder. I love you so much. Stay safe. Stay proud. You are so loved by so many people. And I really hope you can see that. And I really hope that this hate and what is going on right now doesn't outweigh the love that so many people and the support that so many people want to give to you right now.
Has JK Rowling got good security? Because I'm really worried for her. I've seen some stuff on Twitter which is really scaring me. Basically, people are like burning her books now. So they're burning her books and then they're eating marshmallow off the fire of the books that they burnt. So it looks like there's a divide on social media as well. There's a lot of people that are happy with what the Supreme Court have said, that you have to be a biological woman to be a woman. You can't just say anymore that you're a woman. Then there's another side where people are really, really angry. So that's why I saw a lot of messages on Twitter that were not good, to be honest with you. It's quite scary. Well, remember a couple of years ago, people were really, really angry, like they wanted her cancelled. But it looks like now things are changing and people are really happy with this news. Some people are even saying she should get an award for this, like this, all this work she's done. Yeah.
See, if you celebrated the UK Supreme Court ruling yesterday, just say you're transphobic. Say it with your whole chest. At least we'll know that you're not safe then and we can avoid you. Because, trust me, if you celebrated that ruling, you're the danger to women. Or one of. Never once in my life have I felt like I've been in danger or physically actually been in danger from a trans person or an intersex person. Do you know who I have felt in danger from throughout my whole life? Men. Cis men. Where's the laws on them? Why are we not defining what a man is? Why are we not putting restrictions in place for men?
Oh, but we're keeping women safe from men going into women's bathrooms.
Why are you looking so closely at people in public toilets? I could not tell you if I've ever shared a bathroom with a trans woman. I'm not looking like that closely. I'm not checking what's in their pants or what isn't. I would notice a man if I in a public bathroom, but even then I wouldn't know if they were cis or trans. So all you're doing now is opening the gates for cis men to just claim that they're trans men and be in women's spaces. Are you dumb? Are you fucking dumb? Dangerous men have never needed an excuse to be dangerous. They've never had to pretend to be trans to get into the spaces that they want to get into to be dangerous. I have a sibling that doesn't have normal chromosomes that are defined by a court. Where do they go? What spaces do they use? Anyone want to tell me that? You just got to keep shouting, we're keeping women safe! Well, women are telling you what is making us unsafe and you're doing fuck all about that. Fuck you, man. If you're transphobic, just fucking say that. Out yourself in the comments, please, so that I can block you. Because you're unsafe. You're a fucking danger if you fucking celebrated that court ruling. Fuck off.
All right, so I am not one to discriminate on, anyone, whether it be transgender, whether it be whatever. I am not one to do that. We know that lots of people have this mentality that, when God created just male and female. But in the world we live in right now, we know that people are feeling uncomfortable in certain bodies and they choose to, change into other sexes that they were not originally born in. And some of the women clamoring for this, that made a court rule. I don't know if that is their situation. I don't know their reason. Lots of the women who have spoken have said that they feel safe around, transgender women, and their problem is not transgender women. Some people have also complained that transgender women are given so much rights in the sense that biologically they are male and they decide to change into female and compete in sports and other things, and that gives them a certain edge than biological women. You guys, the conversation is broad and is ongoing. What are your thoughts concerning all of this? Do you think this law that has been passed is going to give more safety to biologically women, or do you think that you don't think it's going to do anything? Do you think that the government should create a solution or create something for transgender women and others in that category? What are your thoughts concerning all of this? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye for now.